Rain hammers the wooden roof of our vineyard house, each drop a drumbeat against my racing heart. I stand frozen in the dim glow of a single lamp, the Napa Valley stretching dark and endless beyond the fogged windows. My phone buzzes on the oak table, its screen flashing, "Dad," the word, slicing through the storm's roar like a blade. I grab it, my fingers trembling, knowing deep in my gut that this call will shatter everything. "Emily, we need to talk." Robert's voice crackles, heavy with that forced calm he uses when he's hiding something. "It's about the vineyard." "What about it?" I ask, my voice sharp, already bracing for the blow. The vineyard Carter Vintners isn't just land. It's the dream Ethan and I bled for, the rows of grapevines we planted, with our own hands, the future we carved from nothing. Robert hesitates, and in that pause I hear the truth before he speaks it. I sold it, Emily. The papers are signed. The transfer happens next month. His words hit like a thunderclap, stealing my breath. Sold our vineyard. The air grows thick, my chest tightens and the room spins. "You what?" I shout, my voice breaking. "How could you do this, Dad?" "It's for Lily," he says, as if that explains everything. "She's in deep trouble, $200,000, in debt from a bad investment. If we don't pay the collectors..." He trails off, but I know the script. Lily, always Lily, my younger sister, the fragile one, the one they've coddled since we were kids. "Family comes first, Emily. You know that." His tone hardens like I'm the one being unreasonable. I grip the phone so tightly my knuckles whiten. "This is our life, Dad. You had no right." My words echo off the walls, swallowed by the storm outside. Then he drops the real bomb. "We had your signatures, Emily, yours and Ethan's. The documents were ready." My heart stops. "Signatures, you forged them." I whisper the betrayal, sinking in like cold steel. "They didn't just sell our dream, they lied, schemed, betrayed us." Robert stammers, "It's not like that, Em. We thought you'd understand." Understand rage, surges hot and unstoppable. "This is fraud, Dad." "A crime," I'm screaming. Now the phone shaking in my hand. I'm calling the police. "Emily, don't be ridiculous." He snaps, panic creeping into his voice. "This is a family matter, but I'm done. Done with their excuses, their blind devotion to Lily, their willingness to burn my world to save hers. No, Dad, you crossed a line. You and Mom will answer for this." I hang up the silence, deafening, broken only by the rain's relentless assault. My parents, the people who raised me, just tore my heart out. I stumble to the window, staring at the vineyard, our rows of vines, glistening under the storm's fury. This isn't over, not by a long shot. The rain still drums against the windows, but it's the storm inside me that rages louder. I sink into a creaky chair, the vineyard house, creaking under the weight of the night. My phone lies silent now, but Dad's words, soul-forged Lily, burn like acid in my mind. How did it come to this? I close my eyes and the past rushes in, sharp and unyielding, pulling me back to the roots of this resentment, to the years when I learned that in our family, Lily was the sun and I was just a shadow. I was 6 years old, standing in the driveway of our old Sacramento house, my heart bursting with joy. It was my birthday, and Mom and Dad Susan and Robert had surprised me with a shiny red bicycle, its streamers glinting in the California sun. I dreamed of that bike for months, imagining racing down the street, free as the wind. I climbed on, wobbling but grinning, until Lily, 4 years old, and all curls toddled over. "I want it," she declared, her voice a tiny command. I laughed, thinking she'd just look at it, but Mom knelt beside her, stroking her hair. Emily, you're the big sister. Let Lily have it. She really wants it." My smile froze. "It's my birthday," I protested, my small voice shaking. "But it's mine." Dad's face hardened. "Don't be selfish, Em." By the next day, the bike was Lily's. I never rode it again. That was the first time I tasted betrayal, bitter as unripe grapes. School didn't change the pattern. In 3rd grade, I begged to join an art class, dreaming of painting landscapes like the Napa Valley hills I'd seen on a field trip. "We can't afford it," Mom said, her voice clipped. Lily's ballet lessons cost too much. Ballet Lily, who tripped over her own feet, was suddenly a delicate prodigy. Meanwhile, I joined the free school art club, sketching with stubby crayons, while Lily twirled in a pink tutu, Mom and Dad clapping at every recital. "Lily's sensitive," they'd say. "She needs this." What about what I need? I'd wonder, but I never asked. I learned early that asking got me nowhere. By middle school, the gap widened. I worked hard, earning A's, hoping for a nod of pride. But every report card I brought home was overshadowed. "That's nice," Emily, Mom would say, barely glancing up. But Lily's struggling with math. We're getting her a tutor for Lily, who spent her evenings giggling on the phone instead of studying. I swallowed my hurt, burying it deep. At 12, I won a science fair, my model vineyard complete with tiny vines taking first place. I rushed home, clutching my ribbon, only to find Mom cooking Lily's favorite mac and cheese. Because she'd had a rough day, my ribbon went unnoticed, tucked into a drawer. I was invisible unless I was useful. High school was worse. I threw myself into studies, determined to earn a scholarship to UC Davis, where I could study viticulture, the art of winemaking, that had captivated me since that Napa field trip. I'd lie awake imagining rows of grapevines under a golden sun, my own winery someday. When I got the scholarship, I raced home breathless. I did it full ride. Mom was on the phone, nodding absently. "That's great, Em. Hold on." Lily's mock test results just came in. Dad didn't even look up from his newspaper. That night, we had a celebration dinner, Lily's favorite pizza, because she'd scored a C on her test, my scholarship a footnote. I stopped expecting them to care. Thanksgiving became another battlefield. At 16, I helped Mom cook, hoping for a moment of connection. Instead, Lily got a designer dress, her squeal filling the house. My gift, a practical sweater. "You don't need fancy things," Emily, Dad said. "You're sensible, sensible." The words stung like I was a tool, not a daughter. I started eating in my room, avoiding the table where Lily's chatter drowned out everything else. Why was I never enough? College was my escape. At UC Davis, I joined the entrepreneurship club where I met Ethan. He was a senior confident with a laugh that warmed the coldest days. During a group project on sustainable agriculture, I shared my dream of owning a vineyard. "You've got something special, Emily," he said, his eyes steady. "You read people like you read soil intuitively." His words were a lifeline. Someone saw me. Ethan taught me about terroir, the unique flavor soil gives to wine, and we'd spend hours debating grape varieties, Pinot Noir versus Cabernet Sauvignon. He'd tease me when I got too serious, his grin pulling me out of my shell. "Loosen up, Em. Feel the vines, not just the numbers." For the first time, I felt understood. After graduation, Ethan and I decided to turn our passion into reality. We launched Carter Vintners, a winery focused on organic Napa Valley wines. Everyone doubted us. Too young, suppliers said. No track record investors scoffed. My parents were the loudest critics. "It's unstable," Emily, Mom warned. "You need to help Lily. She's struggling." Struggling Lily Hickeyus had dropped out of college, bouncing between retail jobs, racking up credit card debt for designer bags, but I was done being her safety net. Ethan and I scraped together startup capital. I worked nights as a waitress, days as a tutor, while he borrowed from his uncle. Our first office was a cramped garage, our desks salvaged from a thrift store. "This is our vintage," Ethan said, laughing as we toasted with cheap soda. I laughed too, believing we could do anything together. Building the business was brutal. We pitched to distributors facing rejection after rejection. "Your kids," they'd say, dismissing our samples. But we kept going, attending wine festivals, pouring our Pinot Noir for sommeliers. Building trust sip by sip, our break came with a small Italian winery desperate to break into the U.S. market. They loved our passion, our story. "You remind us of us," their owner said, signing an exclusive contract. That night in our garage office, we celebrated with a $10 bottle of sparkling wine, dreaming of our own vineyard. This was our terroir, our soil, our future. But Lily's shadow never left. Every call from Mom or Dad was the same. "Lily's in debt again," they'd say. "Can you help?" I was drowning in loans for the business, but they never asked about that. When Lily lost $5,000 on a fashion startup, Mom and Dad paid it off, calling her naive. When she crashed their car, they bought her a new one. "She's delicate," they said. Delicate. I was the one working 60-hour weeks, my hands stained from grape harvests, my heart bruised from their neglect. Ethan saw it all. "They don't deserve you, Em," he'd say, pulling me close. "We're building something real." His belief kept me grounded, like roots in rich soil. 5 years ago, we found our vineyard in Napa Valley. It was a rundown plot, vines tangled and neglected, but the view, rolling hills under a boundless sky, stole our breath. "This is it," Ethan said, squeezing my hand. I felt it too. We poured every penny into it, renovating the house, replanting vines, learning barrel, aging to perfect our blends. My parents hated it. A waste of money, Dad called it. "You should be helping Lily." But their words couldn't touch me anymore. This vineyard was proof of what Ethan and I could do. On our first night there, we sat on the porch, stars blazing above, and Ethan whispered, "Em, let's grow old here." Those words were my home. Lily's chaos never stopped. She'd call, voice slurred from late nights, begging for cash. "I'm in trouble, Em, just $2,000. I'd refuse, and she'd scream. "You're so selfish," Mom and Dad always backed her. "She's not like you, Emily," they'd say. "You're strong, strong." I was exhausted, carrying the weight of their expectations, while Lily danced through life, leaving wreckage. Last year, she lost $30,000 in a crypto scam. Mom and Dad sold their savings to cover it, never once asking how I was managing our winery's loans. I was their daughter too. Why didn't that matter? Now standing in this vineyard house, the rain a relentless chorus, I see it clearly. This betrayal, the forged signatures, the stolen vineyard isn't new. It's the final harvest of years of favoritism, of choosing Lily over me, of treating my dreams as disposable. They think they can take everything. My hands shake, not from cold, but from fury. I pick up my phone, scrolling to Ethan's number. He's on a business trip in San Francisco, but I need him now. "Em, what's wrong?" He answers, voice thick with concern. I can barely speak. "They sold the vineyard, Ethan. They forged our names. His silence is heavy. Then I'm coming home. We'll fix this." Fix this. I want to believe him, but as the storm rages outside, I know this fight is just beginning. The rain has slowed to a drizzle, but the storm inside me burns hotter than ever. I stand in the Vineyard house, the oak table littered with papers, bills, contracts, dreams now tainted by betrayal. Ethan's voice still echoes from our call. Steady and sure, we'll fix this. But how do you fix a family that's been broken for years? Dad's confession forged signatures a sold vineyard. All for Lily sits like poison in my chest. They didn't just steal our land, they stole our trust. I pace the creaky floor, the Napa Valley dark beyond the windows, and resolve hardens in me like steel. This ends now. I drive to my parents' house in Sacramento, the highway a blur of headlights and rage. Their modest ranch-style home looks smaller tonight, the porch light flickering like their excuses. I knock my fist heavy, and Mom Susan opens the door. Her face pales when she sees me. "Emily, what's wrong?" she asks, her voice thin. I push past her into the living room where Dad Robert sits, a glass of whiskey in hand. "You sold our vineyard," I say, my voice low but shaking. "You forged our signatures. Tell me why I shouldn't call the police right now." Susan gasps, clutching her cardigan. "Emily, calm down. It's not what you think, not what I think." I laugh sharp and bitter. "Then explain it, Mom. Explain how you faked my name, Ethan's name, to sell our land for Lily's mess." Dad sets his glass down, his jaw tight. "Lily's in trouble, Em. $200,000 in debt. Collectors were threatening her. We had no choice. No choice." My hands clench into fists. "You had a choice, Dad. You chose her, again, like always." The room feels too small, the air thick with years of unspoken hurt. Susan steps forward, her eyes pleading. "Lily was tricked, Emily. She invested in a startup, thought it was safe. She's not like you. She's not strong. The word cuts deeper than I expect. "I'm strong because I had to be," I snap. "Because you never gave me a chance to be anything else. You poured everything into Lily, money, time, love, and left me to scrape by. And now this fraud." My voice cracks, but I don't stop. "You crossed a line. This isn't a family matter, it's a crime." Dad stands, his face red. "Don't you dare talk to us like that. We did what we had to for your sister. My sister. Always my sister. I'm trembling now, not from fear, but from the weight of it all. Lily's not a child, Dad. She's 28. She chose to gamble on a scam. Why is her failure my punishment?" Susan starts to cry, but I feel no pity. They don't get to play victims now. "Where's Lily?" I demand. "Does she even know what you've done?" She's out," Susan mumbles, avoiding my eyes. "Of course she is. Probably at some bar spending money she doesn't have, while our parents burn my world to save her." I pull out my phone, scrolling to the police non-emergency number. "Emily, no, Dad," shouts, lunging forward. "You can't do this, we're family." I step back, my finger hovering over the call button. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't steal. You did both. I hit call, and as the line rings, Susan collapses onto the couch sobbing. I should feel guilty, but all I feel is free. The police dispatcher is calm, professional. I explain everything: forged documents, the unauthorized sale, the vineyard. That means everything to me and Ethan. "We'll send an officer to take your statement," she says. I hang up, my heart pounding but steady. Dad stares at me, his eyes wide with shock. "You actually did it," he whispers. "You turned us in." I meet his gaze, unflinching. "You left me no choice." Susan's sobs fill the silence, but I turn and walk out, the night air cool against my burning cheeks. This is what standing up feels like. Back at the vineyard, I wait for Ethan. He arrives just past midnight, his truck crunching on the gravel drive. He pulls me into his arms, and for a moment, I let myself break. "They forged our names, Ethan," I whisper. "They thought they could take it all." He strokes my hair, his voice soft but firm. They can't. I called a friend from law school. He's a real estate attorney. The buyer's backing out. The sale's off. Relief floods me, but it's not enough. The vineyard's safe, but what about us? There's more, I say, pulling back. I called the police. They're investigating. Ethan's eyes widen, but he nods. You did the right thing, Em. I'm proud of you. Proud. The word wraps around me like a warm blanket, so different from my parents' dismissals. We sit on the porch, the stars piercing the clouds, and I tell him everything: the confrontation, Mom's tears, Dad's anger. They've always chosen Lily, I say, my voice raw. But this is unforgivable. Ethan takes my hand. We'll get through this, together. The word anchors me, a promise stronger than any contract. The next morning, my phone buzzes with a voicemail from Lily. Her voice is sharp, slurred with anger. You're heartless, Emily. Turning Mom and Dad over to the cops, you ruined our family. All for your stupid vineyard. I delete it. My hands steady. She doesn't get to guilt me anymore. But then Ethan finds something that stops us cold. He's been digging through our financial records, cross-checking old accounts. He says, his face pale. Your college trust fund, it's gone. $50,000, withdrawn 5 years ago. My stomach drops. What do you mean, gone? He shows me the statements, the withdrawals signed by Susan. They took it, he says, for Lily. The revelation hits like a sledgehammer. They didn't just sell our future, they stole my past. I remember that trust fund set up by my grandparents for my education. I'd used scholarships for college, assuming the money was still there, waiting for a rainy day. But no, they'd drained it, likely to cover one of Lily's endless debts. A car trip, another failed investment. How far are they willing to go? I call the police again, adding embezzlement to the charges. This is bigger than we thought, the officer says. We're launching a full investigation. Good, let the truth come out. Days later, I learn more from Ethan's lawyer friend. The vineyard sale was meticulously planned. Mom and Dad forged our signatures over months, copying my scrawl from old letters mimicking Ethan's from a business card. They told the buyer, a wealthy developer, that we were relocating to Europe and couldn't manage the property. Worse, Susan spread lies to neighbors claiming Ethan and I were bankrupt, desperate to unload the vineyard. They tarnished our name to protect Lily. I'm sickened, but not surprised. This is who they are, people who'll sacrifice anyone for their delicate daughter. Lily calls again, this time sobbing. Please, I'm sorry. I didn't know they'd go this far. Just drop the charges, okay? We're family. Her voice drips with that victim tone I've heard 1,000 times. I don't yell, I don't cry. I speak calm and cold. Lily, you knew. You always knew they'd clean up your messes. But this time it's on you. You're not my responsibility. I hang up, and for the first time, I feel the weight of her lift. I'm done carrying her. The police investigation deepens. Officers visit my parents' house, collecting documents, questioning neighbors. Susan calls me, her voice frantic. Emily, how could you? We're your parents. I don't answer. Her words are empty now, like overused soil that can't grow anything new. Ethan and I meet with the lawyer, filing a civil lawsuit for the trust fund theft. You've got a strong case, he says. Embezzlement, fraud, it's all there. I nod, but victory feels hollow. I didn't want to sue my family. They forced my hand. One night, I walk through the vineyard alone, the vines heavy with grapes ready for harvest. The air smells of earth and promise, but my heart aches. Why did they choose her over me every single time I think of Mom's tears? Dad's anger, Lily's pleas. They're trapped in their own cycle, enabling Lily, until it destroyed them. A memory flashes Susan at my high school graduation, distracted checking her phone for Lily's dance recital updates. Even then, I was an afterthought. I deserved better. I kneel in the dirt, my fingers brushing a vine. This land, this life is mine. No one can take it. Ethan finds me there, his shadow, falling soft across the rows. "Am you okay?" he asks, kneeling beside me. I shake my head, tears spilling. They took so much, Ethan. The vineyard, the trust fund years of feeling like I didn't matter. He pulls me close, his warmth steadying me. "They can't take who you are," he says. "You're the strongest person I know. And we're building something they'll never touch." His words sink deep, like roots finding water. He's right. This is our terroir, and we'll defend it. The lawyer calls the next day. The police found more text messages between Susan and a real estate agent planning the sale months ago. "They knew it was illegal," the lawyer says. "They just thought you'd let it go. Let it go." I almost laugh. They underestimated me like always. I look out at the vineyard, the hills glowing under a setting sun, and feel a fire kindling inside. This isn't just about saving our land. It's about reclaiming my life. The breaking point isn't just theirs, it's mine too. I'm done being the sensible one, the invisible one. From now on, I choose me. The vineyard is quiet tonight, the Napa Valley air, crisp with the promise of autumn. I stand on the porch of our house, the rows of grapevines stretching into the dusk, their leaves tinged gold by the setting sun. Ethan's hand rests in mine, warm and steady, grounding me after weeks of chaos. The police investigation, the forged signatures, the stolen trust fund, it's all led to this moment. We saved the vineyard, but at what cost? My parents' betrayal. Lily's endless excuses, the fractured family I once knew, it's a heavy price. Yet as the sky burns orange, I feel something new stirring. Not just relief, but possibility. The lawyer called this morning, his voice clipped but triumphant. The sales officially voided Emily. The buyer backed out when we showed them the forged documents. Your vineyard's safe, safe. The word washes over me, loosening a knot in my chest. Ethan, standing beside me in the kitchen, let out a whoop, pulling me into a hug that lifted me off the floor. "We did it, Em," he said, his grin wide. I smiled, but my heart was tangled. The vineyard's ours, but the scars remain. I thanked the lawyer, hung up, and walked outside to breathe the earthy scent of our vines. This land is ours, undeniable now, but the fight isn't over. The police investigation moved fast. Officers uncovered a trail of lies, fake signatures, doctored emails, even a forged letter claiming Ethan and I were relocating overseas. Susan and Robert planned it for months, believing I'd cave like always. They were wrong. Last week, they faced charges of fraud and embezzlement, the $50,000 trust fund theft sealing their fate. The judge handed down a suspended sentence, 2 years probation, no jail time, but a permanent stain on their names. Susan's voice cracked when she called me after the hearing. "Emily, we're sorry. We didn't mean." I cut her off, my voice calm but firm. "You meant every choice you made. Don't call again." I hung up my hands steady. The weight of their apology letters unread, tossed in the trash lifting from my shoulders. Forgiveness isn't owed, not this time. Lily's reaction was predictable. She showed up at the vineyard, unannounced, her car screeching into the drive, her face flushed with anger. "You destroyed them, Emily," she shouted, storming toward me as I pruned vines. "Mom and Dad are broken, and it's your fault." I set down my shears, meeting her gaze. "They broke themselves, Lily. They stole from me, lied for you. When does it stop? She faltered, her eyes welling up, but the victim act didn't sway me. I was tricked, she said, voice trembling. That investment was supposed to... I raised a hand, stopping her. You're not a kid anymore. Own your choices. She glared, then turned and left her tires spitting gravel. I wanted her to fight to grow, but that's her path, not mine. I thought confronting Lily would end things, but I needed closure on my terms. Ethan and I decided to host a community event at the Vineyard, a harvest festival, to celebrate our victory and give back. We invited local families, winemakers, even kids from a nearby youth program to learn about viticulture. I had another motive when I barely admitted to myself I invited Lily. Maybe, just maybe, she'd see what we've built, what she's missing. The festival was alive with laughter, music, and the clink of wine glasses. Kids ran through the vines, their hands sticky with grape juice, while Ethan taught a group about barrel aging, his passion infectious. I watched from the porch, my heart full, until I saw her Lily standing awkwardly at the edge of the crowd, clutching a cheap purse. I approached, bracing myself. You came, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Her eyes darted away. I thought maybe we could talk. Hope flickered, but it died fast. I need help him, she said, her voice low. Just $5,000, I'll pay you back. I stared, the air heavy between us. She didn't come to connect, she came to take. No, Lily, I said, my voice steady. I'm done bailing you out. Her face twisted. You're so cold. You have all this, and I have nothing. She gestured at the vineyard, the crowd, the life I'd built. I stepped closer, my words deliberate. This isn't about money. It's about responsibility. You want more, earn it. She turned and walked away, disappearing into the dusk. I let her go, and it hurt, but it was right. That night, Ethan and I sat on the porch, the festival's echoes fading. The stars were sharp above the valley, the air thick with the scent of crushed grapes. You okay? He asked, his hand finding mine. I nodded, tears pricking my eyes. I wanted her to change, Ethan, but she won't, and I can't keep trying. He squeezed my hand. You gave her a chance. That's more than she deserved. He was right. Lily's choices aren't my burden. We talked late into the night, planning something bigger, turning the vineyard into a community hub, a place for kids to learn farming, for families to gather, for dreams to take root. This place is more than wine, Ethan said. It's hope. His words sparked something in me, a vision of our land as a legacy, not just for us, but for others. My parents' lives unraveled in the weeks that followed. A neighbor called, her voice hesitant. Emily, your mom's working nights at a diner. Your dad's doing security shifts. They sold their house. I listened, my heart heavy but unmoved. They chose this path. Susan spotted at grocery stores buying day-old bread, her face gaunt. Robert collapsed on a shift, overworked, but went back the next day. Lily's no better. She's chasing another foolproof investment, oblivious to the wreckage. They're trapped, and I can't save them. I sent them a list of debt counselors, a final gesture, but I know they won't change. Some roots are too poisoned to grow. I walk the vineyard now, the soil soft under my boots, the vines heavy with promise. This land is our proof, Ethan's and mine, of what love and grit can build. We've started planning the community hub, sketching designs for a learning center, dreaming of kids laughing among the vines. This is our new harvest. The pain of my family's betrayal lingers, but it's quieter now, overshadowed by purpose. I think of the festival, of Lily's angry exit, of my parents' empty apologies. They shaped me, but they don't define me. I choose this life, this land, this future. And as the sun dips below the hills, painting the valley in fire, I know I'm exactly where I belong. The Napa Valley stretches before me, a tapestry of vines glowing under the moon's soft light. I sit on the porch of our vineyard house, Ethan beside me, his steady presence a quiet anchor. The air carries the scent of earth, and ripened grapes a reminder of all we've fought for. The betrayal, my parents' fraud. Lily's endless chaos, the stolen trust fund, still lingers like a bruise, but it's fading. This vineyard, this life is ours. As I trace the silhouette of the hills, I see clearly now the pain taught me lessons I'll carry forever, lessons rooted deep in this soil. First, I learned to set boundaries even with family. Love doesn't mean sacrificing everything. Susan and Robert poured their lives into Lily, thinking it was care, but it was enabling. When they tried to sell our vineyard, I said no, not with words but with action, calling the police, filing a lawsuit. I chose myself. It hurt, but it was freedom. You can love your family and still protect your heart. Draw that line, hold it firm, and don't feel guilty for it. Second, self-reliance is power. I built Carter Vintners with Ethan against everyone's doubts, my parents' suppliers, even our own fears. When Mom and Dad dismissed my dreams, saying, "Help Lily instead," I kept going, working nights, scraping by, planting vines with my own hands. No one handed me this vineyard. Strength comes from trusting your grit, from knowing you can stand alone if you must. Believe in your own roots and you'll grow. Third, forgiveness isn't always the answer. I used to think I had to absolve Susan, Robert, Lily, to keep the peace, to be the good daughter. But their choices, lies, theft, betrayal, weren't mistakes. They were deliberate. I don't owe them absolution. Letting go doesn't mean excusing harm. It means releasing their hold on you. Sometimes walking away is the kindest thing you can do for yourself. Finally, sharing your dreams gives them meaning. Ethan and I could have kept this vineyard for ourselves, a private victory. Instead, we're building a community hub, teaching kids about farming, hosting families, planting hope. At the Harvest Festival, I saw a girl, maybe 10, her eyes wide as she held a grapevine. That's why we're here. Our land isn't just wine, it's a legacy. When you open your heart, your dreams grow beyond you. This is my truth. I believe family should lift you up, not pull you down. Ethan became my family, not because of blood, but because of choice. My parents and Lily taught me what family shouldn't be: selfish, manipulative, blind. You deserve people who see you. Look at your life. What boundaries do you need? What dreams are you building? Hold them tight, share them wide, and don't let anyone steal your harvest. The valley hums softly, and I smile, ready for whatever comes next. As the ferry glided back toward Seattle, the Puget Sound shimmered under the moon, a vast mirror reflecting the stars and my own quiet thoughts. I leaned against the railing, the tulip pendant cool against my skin, and let the rhythm of the waves carry me back through my journey. This wasn't just a story of cutting ties or finding a new job. It was a map, a guide for anyone lost in the shadows of others' expectations. I imagined Grandma Eleanor standing beside me, her gentle smile urging me to share what I'd learned, not just for myself, but for anyone listening, anyone fighting to bloom. Life, I've found, is about discovering your own worth, even when the world tries to measure you against someone else's light. For years I thought I had to earn my place, to prove I was more than Chloe's plain older sister. But standing here, I know my value isn't tied to their approval or anyone's. It's in the way I show up, working hard, loving fiercely, choosing myself. That's the first lesson: you are enough just as you are, and no one gets to dim your shine. There's power in drawing lines too. Walking away from my parents and Chloe was like cutting an anchor that had held me underwater. It hurt, God, it hurt, but it was the only way to breathe. Sometimes love means letting go, not because you're cruel, but because you deserve peace. That choice taught me that boundaries aren't walls. They're gates letting in what nurtures you and keeping out what doesn't. I also learned to forgive myself. I carried guilt for years, blaming myself for not being the daughter my parents wanted, for not saving them from their own greed. But their choices weren't my fault, and neither were Chloe's lies. Releasing that weight was like planting a seed. It let me grow. You have to be kind to yourself first, to see your scars as proof of survival, not failure. And then there's the anchor, the thing that keeps you steady when the storms hit. For me, it was Grandma Eleanor's tulip pendant, her words whispering through every dark night. You'll bloom. It could be a memory, a song, a friend like Emma who sees you when you can't see yourself. Find that anchor, hold it close, and let it remind you of your strength. Finally, I've learned that true growth means lifting others as you rise. Starting that scholarship in Grandma's name isn't just about giving money, it's about planting tulips for girls like me. Girls told they're not enough. Helping them chase their dreams makes my own victories sweeter. We're not here to climb alone. We're here to light paths for each other. As the ferry docked, Seattle's lights twinkling ahead, I felt a fire in my chest. This is what I want you to take with you. You're a tulip too capable of blooming through the harshest winters. Don't let anyone, family, friends, or your own doubts tell you otherwise. Live boldly, love yourself fiercely, and plant seeds for others. That's how you make a life that's truly yours.